Government understands that housing alone will not be enough.
Tonight, Manitoba is spending $58 million to help fund homes for people who don't have them. More on the province's new homeless strategy just ahead.
This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Riley Lachuk. Like many cities across the continent, homelessness has reached a crisis point in Winnipeg. Today, the province promised to boost the supply of housing geared to people who can't afford rent and suffer from other barriers. CBC's Bartley Kivas reports.
Another morning of uncertainty for long-term residents of downtown's Windsor Hotel, who face displacement in the coming days or weeks. The Main Street project is trying to help these tenants find new homes. This places additional pressure on Winnipeg's meager supply of low-cost housing. The city suffers from a homelessness crisis, and now the province is stepping in with some help. Thunderbird House, the Soaring Eagle Singers perform a Cree prayer as the PC government announces $58 million to combat homelessness. The money will create 700 new social housing spaces this year, 400 in existing apartments using a rent supplement program, and 300 brand new units. That exceeds the target for 2023, but there remains a greater need.
Overall, I believe our estimates are about 1,800 to 2,000 units. Probably one-third of those need to be supportive transitional housing.
The new money comes on top of $12 million from Ottawa that the city is spending on new rapid housing. Precisely where the units will go is up in the air. All the minister would say is there will be a focus on Winnipeg and consultation with nonprofit and Indigenous-led organizations. The new provincial money will also extend the hours of shelters during the winter and help connect people to social services.
Our government understands that housing alone will not be enough, and we are also expanding the capacity of service teams to support people exiting homelessness.
For Manitoba's opposition parties, this announcement is too little, too late. Both the NDP and Liberals say the PC's dithered on homelessness for 7 years and only came up with money with an election looming. Bartley Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
One Winnipeg school division is struggling to deal with a significant increase in bad student behavior. The Louis Riel School Division saw a 263% increase in the number of incidents of unsafe behavior by students. Clinical Supervisor Alex Panuta says it ranges from verbal or written threats, concerning posts on social media, to the destruction of school property.
So what we're seeing is students who are struggling to find other ways to resolve conflict, to manage their regulation and mental health.
Panuta says the problem is compounded by lengthy wait times for support services for students who are struggling with their mental health. Well, more money for health care doesn't necessarily mean more staff. That's what federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh warned in Winnipeg today. Singh met with healthcare workers about the staffing crisis. He says he's concerned the new deal between Ottawa and the provinces does nothing to bolster resources, and says some provinces like Manitoba have said they will funnel federal money to private clinics.
We are proudly and strongly fighting back and saying we've got to invest in public solutions, in universal health care, hiring more workers, respecting these workers, listening to these workers, retaining these workers, and recruiting more workers. And it's got to be a massive, concerted plan to invest in our healthcare system so that people get the care they need.
Singh says private clinics poach workers from the public system, making staffing shortages worse. News of the migrant shipwreck in southern Italy has hit home for one Afghanistan-born Winnipegger. Zobair Dean says it reminds him of his own dangerous escape from his country on a life raft. CBC's Joanne Roberts has his story.
What looks like a relaxing boat ride is actually a terrifying 3-day escape by Zobair Dean and his family.
So we're heading to an unknown destination on these American-made rafts between Afghanistan and Pakistan in the middle of nowhere. And the photographer that accompanied us, there's only a camera that was left of his house. And he ended up taking our pictures in that river.
On Sunday, at least 61 people died in a shipwreck near the southern coast of Italy. The images brought Dean back to when he was 16, celebrating his birthday on the raft.
The gentleman that was taking us across, he was struggling to keep us safe. and that raft was about to sink a couple of times.
Dean imagines the migrants, who are from Afghanistan, Iran, and other countries, felt the same as his family.
And that was a very difficult decision for my parents to make because they love their country, they love their home country, and they didn't want to leave. But we had to. There was nothing left for us.
Aryan Aryanpour is the president of the Iranian community of Manitoba. He considers the shipwreck deaths the same as murder.
The dictatorships force these people to flee their country, yet the leaders of the free world facilitate that by ignoring the situation in those countries.
I'm really asking the Canadian government, the federal government of Canada, to simplify the refugee sponsorship process.
Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada said last month it was firm in its commitment to resettle at least 40,000 Afghan refugees by the end of the year. Dean was able to return to Afghanistan and says when he walked the familiar streets, he found healing and freedom. Joanne Roberts, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Access to public washrooms in downtown Winnipeg could be cut back. This facility on Main Street is currently open 10 hours per day, but budget cuts will mean it'll only be open for 8 come May. An online petition has been started to increase funding for the washroom. A pair of teams at the University of Winnipeg are gearing up for a big BC weekend. The men's basketball team is trying for their first ever conference championship on Friday in Victoria, while the women's volleyball team will be in Langley for the best of 3 conference semifinals.
We're a team, but we're also kind of like a family, and like the whole Westman program is kind of like family oriented. So I think we're all just really close. Like we all push each other. We're all really supportive. Like we all want everybody to do the best that they can.
The University of Manitoba Bisons are also in action this weekend. They are traveling to Calgary to play in the other Canada West semifinal. Let's take a look at downtown Winnipeg. We have another cold night ahead in Manitoba, but meteorologist John Sauter says there are signs of spring in the forecast. Those details next.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. The trade and upgrade event is on now.
Starting to see some signs of spring out there. Sure looks spring-like here in the Winnipeg area through the day today. Highest temperature -9 at the airport, -8 downtown, forecasting a -7. Didn't quite get there, and we're back into the -20s tonight as skies clear. Should be a pretty clear province tomorrow with the exception of the northeast. That system in the north continues to push out in over Hudson Bay as we work our way through Wednesday. More of a sun cloud mix or partly cloudy conditions on Wednesday here in southern Manitoba. And then a little bit more cloud cover Thursday. But the big thing Thursday is temperatures will be still on the cool side, but winds shift to the south, and that brings in warmer air for the weekend. The numbers are coming up. -21 tonight, winds overnight and tomorrow morning, northeast around 20 to 30, and we only get to -12 on Wednesday afternoon, and then still dropping into the -20s by Thursday morning. And that'll be at about a -22. -9, pretty gusty in the afternoon out of the south, but look at Friday, flurries, -1, and on the weekend we're -2s and -3s. Into mid next week, we're looking at temperatures getting back to the freezing mark.
Thanks, John. A couple more days of those cold temperatures. That's your late news for this Tuesday. Thank you for being with us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow at 6 and 11. Have a great night.